Hi, I'm Sandy Mergen, and the 5 books that I read on the EPIC program were wonderful. I started out looking at one that I thought I would be ending up with, but then I switched gears to the poetry workshop books. Since the theme is poetry, I decided to learn a little bit about how I could actually teach poetry in a class, and to my delight, the selections that were available had, many of the poetry workshop books. They're all about 31 pages each. So I'm zeroing in on the limerick particular book. The limericks book is called Read, Recite, and Write, and it's by Joanne Early Mackin, and they're all published by Crabtree Publishing. And she's written 8 of these books, but this particular one is about limericks. So, it gives the history, a very minimal history about it. And, of course, the plot is to break down how to write a limerick. And it has very simple, basic steps that kids can follow to actually produce their own limerick video, or poetry. So they have the person who made them popular, the history of that, Edward Lear, that it came from, they believe it came from Ireland, from Limerick, Ireland. They have how to do place limericks, how to do animal antics, how to highlight a foolish character because they're supposed to be humorous, and how to build up a punchline for the end of your limerick. A little example would be like, there was a young lady of Crete who was so exceedingly neat. When she got out of bed, she stood on her head to make sure of not soiling her feet. So these are just an example. And the next book that I evaluated was the haiku poetry book. Now, I didn't know anything about haiku. So I got to learn what it was, that it was a Japanese form of writing poetry. It's a very compressed poem to write, and it gave a literal step-by-step. It could get any of these kids, particularly in the 4th grade, a chance to write their own very interesting haiku poetry. So an example of a haiku poem would be, in the city fields, contemplating cherry trees. Strangers are like friends. So this is almost like a little bit of a meditation, and it makes you think of being out in the fields when the cherry trees are in bloom, and of course people are uplifted, so they're kindred spirits. So the step-by-step is how to write a sound haiku poem, or how to create the change in the haiku poem that would be between the first, second, and third line. And again, it's step by step. It's illustrated with graphic art. There's lovely photos. All of them are this way. And the kids are kind of like the characters that are actually producing their new poem in that particular genre. So then we have the concrete poems that we actually had in our Love That Dog book. We got to see some concrete poems in there, and I never really knew what the names of those were, and even though I'd had college literature, we didn't really go into those. So this is read, recite, and write concrete poems. And really this is the same kind of idea, but they are being taught how to do a spatial shape poem where the words are the substance of the imagery that's reflected in the poem. So the example that we were given in Love That Dog was about the apple. That was by S.C. Rigg. So they had a couple suggestions to use word art from Microsoft Word or Wordle, and just how to write simple ones. One child had done one that was posted in the particular book that was it's actually a ceiling fan. And the poem is ceiling fan, cool the room, while they whirl, blades twirl. So, and it's done kind of like in an X format. So I was just very impressed with these books. I'm so glad. Like I said, I started to read other books that you might read to a class that had poetry in it. But I thought how much more fulfilled I was that I got to see these. And then I looked up, well, what are all the other ones that they had? Well, there's 8 of them. So there's narrative poems, nursery rhymes, list poems, Sin Keens, free verse poems, along with the 3 that I just reviewed. And I thought, well, how neat it would be to be a teacher, stock up on some of these, and send them home every weekend with the kids so that they can come back and recite a poem. We could do reading stations with them on using the different books and see what they can come up with. But like I said, they're so easy to understand. These kids would really be first-class poets by the time they got through with their book. And like I said, the books are brief and to the point and could help any kid become a little professional poet. So I really enjoyed this. I really recommend it, and believe that my time was very well spent looking into these books. So thank you.